everyone, and welcome back to our little channel. Now, if you watched our last video, you'll know that we were concentrating on getting all the insulation sorted in the camper van. And now that that's taken care of, we can turn our focus and attention to getting the floor put down. So yeah, that's what we've been concentrating on in this video today. And there's not really anything else for me to say, so let's just crack on with it, shall we? So I've kept the old floor so I can use it as a template, but before I start cutting out any new wood, I just want to make absolutely certain that this old floor still fits in the van. I mean, you've got to remember that I've raised it up 25mm with the battening and the insulation, and of course it shouldn't cause an issue, but just for my own peace of mind, I just want to make absolutely certain. So I've put it back in the van, and as you can see, it fits snug as a bug. So what I can now do is I can lift it out, marry it up to the new sheets of board that I've got, mark it out, and then start cutting it out. So I've opted to carpet the areas that are going to sort of butt up against the floor and the ceiling. So I've carpeted the side loading door, and I've done exactly the same with the rear doors as well. And I'm pretty pleased with them, to be honest. That's the first attempt. I've never actually used auto carpet before, but and that rear door there, that's one whole piece, that is. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It looks quite neat. I'll put the plastic trim back on. I know they're ugly looking things, they're just placeholders, so eventually I'll replace them with something a bit nicer looking. And I mean, you can see that one down there, it's got a big hole in it. And before anybody says, oh, you've blocked up your access to your rear lights, what I will do is if ever I need to change a bulb or anything like that, I'll just put a slit in it and reach in, and if I have to cut a bigger hole out, then so be it, but it won't be seen anyway. So we've opted to go with 12mm ply. Now arguably, with how well we battened out the floor, we perhaps could have got away with using a 9mm, but I'm not the smallest person in the world, and I want to avoid any possibility of the floor flexing beneath my feet when I'm standing on it. So 12mm it is. It costs more, it weighs more, but hopefully it's the right choice for us. When we got the old camper van, we made certain to put the old floor to one side because we knew that it would come in super useful as a template when the time came for us to put the new floor down. Considering it had been sat outside for months and months on end, it was still in really good nick. And to be honest with you, the only reason that we haven't put it back in the van, because there's holes in places where the old tie downs were. We picked ourselves up 3 sheets of 2400 by 1200 ply, but actually found when the time came to cut the floor out that 2 sheets was more than enough for a medium wheelbase Citroen relay. Now, it's probably more than obvious to most, but at the time it just didn't occur to me. But when the time came for me to pick the wood up from the builder's merchant, they just literally threw it in the back of the van, and I didn't actually take any time to check over each individual sheet just to make sure that it was perfect. I mean, you might be able to see in a couple of these shots, but there's a few imperfections in the wood, but luckily enough, I managed to cut my way around most of them. There you go guys, learn from my mistakes. So there you have it guys, that's the new floor cut out using the old template as a guide, and as you can probably see, particularly down the sides, I've extended the wood a little bit because the old template came up a little bit short, so I'm going to have to do a little bit of finessing just to make things absolutely perfect. One thing worth mentioning is I've actually taken the old template and I've flipped it in the van. The reason for that is because of the layout that we're going to be going with. So with the old floor, where the 2 sheets of board meet, that would land in our walkway, and of course there's going to be a lot of foot traffic there, and that break between the 2 sheets of wood, because we haven't sort of joined them together, that's going to be a weak spot. So in flipping it over, what that's going to do for us is, where the 2 sheets of wood meet, that's actually going to land where our seating area is going to meet. But as it stands, with the wood down as it is, like I say, hopefully where the 2 sheets of board meet, hopefully that break between the 2 sheets of board, that's not going to be something that you stand on. As I said before, I just needed to do a little bit of finessing just to make the boards fit absolutely perfect in the van. They didn't need a great deal of work, but like I say, just needed a little bit of work here and there just to make them fit nice and snug. Now for the finish of our floor, we've opted to use lino. It's cheap and cheerful, it's easy to work with, and it'll look absolutely great once it's down. And we found that the best prices for this stuff could be found online. I see with a lot of people when they're putting lino in the van that they actually cut it to size inside the vehicle, but because we're installing a new ply flooring and it's all cut perfectly to size, it just made perfect sense just to use that as a template. So using the Sharpie pen, it was just a simple case of throwing the plywood on top of the lino and just marking out around it. Then it was just a case of using a sharp knife to cut it out. I mean, it's hardly rocket science, is it? As I've said before, the beauty with lino is it's cheap and cheerful, and it looks better now than ever. You can get some really nice finishes in it, and it's pretty hard wearing too. With the lino cut to shape, it was just a case of putting the floor back down in the van and screwing it down. I carefully marked out where all the screws were going to go, whilst bearing in mind where all the future furniture would sit. They were all pre-drilled and countersunk before I actually put the screws in to make sure that they all sat flush and nothing sat proud of the wood. The odd ends of green tape that you can see littered around the bottom half of the van are markers for where the floor battens are, so when the time comes to fit the furniture, I know exactly where I need to screw it to. I then did a test fit of the lino and made any small amendments to it so we had a nice perfect flush fit in the floor of the van. I used the same trim fix adhesive that I used for fitting the auto carpet. It's a high temperature adhesive glue spray, and I've seen other people use it in their own vans with great results. All you have to do is spray a nice even coat on the floor of your van and the same on the back of your lino. Give it a minute for the solvent to go off and then just lay the floor down. As you can see here, I found it easier working from the middle of the van to the front and then again from the middle of the van towards the rear. But in all honesty, I'm not sure there's a right or a wrong way for tackling this. It's just whatever works best for you. With the adhesive down, it was just a case of going over the floor with a roller just to make sure that any air bubbles or creases were removed from the lino. There were a couple of areas that I noticed we had a little bit of overspray, so it was just a case of going over them with some Wonder Wipes and then just giving it a gentle tickle with a scraper, and it was easily removed. And stand back and enjoy the fruits of our labour. So there you have it guys, that's the floor taken care of, and I hope you'll agree with me when I say that the route that we've opted to take is a nice, cheap and cheerful way of getting a good finished floor down in your camper van. And in other news, I just want to apologise for all the builder's bum that's been on display in this video. But then again, there was a disclaimer right at the very start and you've opted to stick around, so I guess that's on you. But Scarlett said to me that if I'm lucky, this Christmas Santa Claus might bring me some dungarees, so when I'm next having to edit a video, I won't have to cut out most of the footage because my backside's on show. But yeah, anyway, in the next video I'm going to focus on putting the ceiling up in the camper van, so if that's something that might interest you and you haven't subscribed already, then please consider doing so. And regardless of that, if you've enjoyed this video, then please give us a thumbs up. It will help our little channel no end and we really would appreciate it. And one final thing I would like to say is that I hope you all have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope Santa Claus brings you all the presents that you want, myself included. And if you do decide to stick around, I'll see you in the new year. So until then guys, take it easy, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video, then please give us a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more and you haven't done so already, then please consider subscribing. And don't forget to hit that notification bell down below so you know exactly when we put up a new video. And until next time guys, take it easy, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video.